Well, it's been good for me recently. I've moved back into a situation of being a practitioner in the area of developing a new church community in Glasgow after not having been doing that for a while. And that's been a really important thing for me. It's been important to have time out working as an academic and to reflect and to write about some of the other projects I've been involved in, the other church plants I've been involved in. And I suppose where I finished the book that I wrote, Remixing the Church, was about trying to pull things together into a new vision of transformed practice. I work as a practical theologian at Glasgow University, and there's two dimensions to practical theology. One is reflection on practice, looking back, but the other one, which is seeing the work of someone like Elaine Graham, is about transforming practice for the future. And so the challenge for me, and one of my friends suggested that it was time I put my money where my mouth was to try and gather some of that reflection and to see how I incorporate it into a new project, a new chapter. And it has been challenging, but it's also been exciting to have a chance to say, how do I take that forward, and how do I try and incorporate some of that reflection that I've done and the ways in which I've learned from other people and their reflection. How do I try and incorporate that in doing something new? Yeah, I seem to be stuck with starting with worship, and it's something that I'm trying to reflect on. I know a lot about the critiques of attractional models of church, and the danger with starting with worship is that you're stuck in this old bad attractional model. But for me, I think it's something to do with creating a space. If I look right back to the beginnings in the late service, one of the issues was that we felt we needed to create a space that was an authentic place for us. I have been guided for a long time by something I read when I was 18, 19 that Jim Wallace wrote, I think in his book A Call to Conversion, and he said there, we have nothing more to share with the world than we have ourselves. And so the idea of mission or evangelism is trying to sell people something that you don't have yourself, I think is really problematic. Now, in one sense, when we bear witness to the gospel, we have everything in Christ and the riches of God's love and God's grace in Christ. And so we are pointing beyond ourselves. But I think it's also important that I've never liked the don't look at the church, look at Jesus thing. I think we have to say, Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. I think we have to be able to say, our churches, even though they're imperfect, this is a place where we are trying to bring some of these things together, hold some of these things together. So it's about bodies as well as souls. It's about politics as well as about prayer. It's about art as well as about service to the poor. It's all of these things that belong with a holistic vision of mission and church. Yeah, I have some concerns about. I'm challenged by a lot of the new movements which are about going beyond the attractional, going out and meeting people where they are, and in a sense claiming spaces of encounter as spaces in which church can take place. But I also think that there is value in having spaces which are set apart, spaces which are beautiful, spaces where we explore the beauty of God in worship, and also I think part of what I think I've been trying to do with other people over the last 20 or 30 years is to be at home in the culture that we belong in and with the media that we use, so that somehow we could make connections between how we expressed ourselves, how we entertained ourselves, how we communicated, and what we did in church and our practice there. And so it's about what it means to be church within our culture as a postmodern generation, as a generation who use social media, all those kind of things. What does it mean to do that? And so for me, I have been worried about the idea of that the future is just about creating more informal spaces. I think there are things that you do within the ritual life of the church and within the worshipping life of the church that need a different kind of space, and need a space and an environment which is designed and constructed and adapted for that. Now I think you can improvise those spaces well and create them well in unpromising situations, you know, if you're creative, but there's still something about almost the kind of hallowing of a space sometimes, which is important, and it can happen in a certain way in a Starbucks or a Costa coffee shop, but there's other times when it needs more space and time and care to prepare a space for that to happen. I'm very challenged by the situation we're facing in Scotland at the moment. I do see signs of hope, but I think that we have a lot to learn from what the Church of England and its partners in Fresh Expressions, the Methodists and the URC, I think we're about to appoint a Fresh Expressions worker in Scotland, and I'm hopeful that that will be an encouragement to people. We still need to be encouraging people who are risk takers and to give them permission to do new and creative things, recognising that sometimes that will fail, it's not always going to work or be successful straight away. And particularly I think one of the things I think as someone who was given some support and space to do that when I was 25, 26, 25 years later, I want to be one of the people who helps to be a permission giver, an encourager, a supporter of a new generation of people doing that, because I think the church needs that.